all that, getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Happy Memorial Day weekend, everyone. Welcome to Slow Motion Broadcasting and our coverage of the Ray Esports Weekend Warriors featuring the Spec Racer Fords. My name is Charles Boshell. Alongside me today in the booth is Josh Wilkie, and handling all the controls in the production studio is Guido Marzucchi. Yeah, we talk about the Memorial Day weekend being probably the most significant racing day, that Sunday of the entire calendar, with three major racing organizations holding some of the biggest races on the planet today, starting this year with the Indy 500 currently underway. We've got Formula One at Montreal this season, not at Monaco as is usual. They'll be starting just any minute now. And then finally, the Coca-Cola 600, which is NASCAR's longest race of the season, and is being held at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So fitting that we're here at Charlotte as well for our Spec Racer Ford race today, featuring our SRF drivers are currently in qualifying doing battle on the Roval configuration. Maurizio Naselli currently leading the qualifying session with a 131.453. Nate Schramm in second, Antonio Reese in third, Jason Green in fourth, Adam Bradshaw rounds out your top five. So Josh, obviously I think the Roval here at Charlotte is kind of hate it, kind of like it type situation. It's whatever you think about it, your passion is shows most of the time. So you either really enjoy the racing here or you don't. So what say you?
Yeah, I'd say a great intro, by the way. What an awesome day of racing today. There is Indy 500 wrapping up, I think, as we speak here. F1 starting up, and then, of course, the 600 as well. And pretty awesome stuff. But we're here on SRF. And, yeah, this place, I actually really like it, to be totally honest. And, again, it is going to split the community a little, I believe. But I kind of like tracks like this. There's a lot of sniping apexes around here, a lot of pushing limits. On the infield, and then maybe the outfield, when the SRF's going to be a little interesting. We're going to get a lot of drafting, a lot into this chicane. We just saw Tom Gradwell fly through here. There's probably going to be some pass attempts in there. You really got to get it right. It filters down into one line around here, and a lot of the corners, so the side-by-side racing will really slow you down. I particularly like this place. I find it fun to drive around, although, racing around it is a whole nother prospect. This is a place you really need to respect the boundaries and respect the drivers around you and so on, or you can find a barrier or one of those big sausage curb we're seeing. Actually, today's race sponsor, Chris Murakami, just playing with a little bit right there, and I got to thank him today for that race sponsor on SRF, or on Slow Motion Broadcasting here, and the Weekend Warriors. I can't do it without you guys, so thanks a bunch, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much to Chris Murakami for sponsoring today's event, as we're going to come back to him in just a few minutes and do a quick lap guide. But I think most of our drivers here most of our viewers may know what this looks like already, but we're going to go through our championship points first. And so let's pull those up and take a look here at our Spec 1. Nate Schramm leading 110-point gap over Jason Green. So still having just a great season is Schramm. Just looks unbeatable out there. He's not winning. He's battling for it seemingly every week. Dirk Braun rounds out your podium. Marco Pinero in fourth. Alex Pleva rounds out your top five. And then we'll roll to Spec 2 with Hugh Simpkins currently leading 7 points as your gap. Still very, very tight in Spec 2 here, as he is just 7 points ahead of Phil Berry. Paul Jackson in third, distant third to be fair. Josh Wilkie, unfortunately, will get no point today. He'll get brownie points from me, but he'll get no points in the championship because he's up here in the booth with us. As Jeff Jacobson rounds out your top five in Spec 2 as we roll to Masters. Antonio Reese with a very, very comfortable lead over Chris Thorpe. And as well, Chris Thorpe with a very comfortable lead over Tom Gradwell. Those look like they may be done and dusted. Rich Meester's a little off of P3, so we might see him make a run here at the end of the season. Brad Cathcart rounds out your top five here, as that is our championship points here for today's, as up to today's round. And we've got we've seen Schramm jump to the top, and now he's been eclipsed again by Naselli, who is back up to 131.3 for our pole time. And as we continued on here, it was probably about time to see if we can find Mr. Murakami on the track, see where he may be, as he is already there. He is. He's coming through the chicane now, so we're going to get ready here as he's right behind Josh Justice. We'll get this nice little run down here. We'll let Josh go through our lap guide as we run around the oval here for just a few hundred meters, and then we'll get things rolling and underway as Jason Green now moves up to P4 in our championship, in our qualifying order as they work their way through the second chicane. Josh, we'll touch you. Take it away.
Yeah, so we'll do our onboard lap here. Qualifying in SRF is a stressful scenario. Into T1 here, got to snipe that corner. Don't get too close to it. Don't get too far away from it. We just saw a mistake, very, very classic, common mistake there from Joshua Justice. Going to hit that outside wall. starts to get a little difficult here. Double apex. You've got to sort of late apex this second one just right. Get on the gas early. You're going to take all of the curb there, all the way out to the grass. Another snipe right here as well. You've got to snipe this one a bit late. Really get off the gas here. You know what? Actually, this is a different layout than I was expecting. So we're actually going to go around the carousel here. This is one I actually haven't done before, Charles. So very interesting. This left-hander here is going to be really important to get on the gas early, get that right. So not only are you going to be testing it on the brakes into there, but you're also going to have to get on the gas really early there to be able to get this long, probably longest rip on the entire track here to get a draft done. And think about this chicane all the way down. This is when things get a little bit unnatural. You have to wait so long. It's a little bit unnatural to get to maybe get the rhythm right. And he's going to take a lot of curb, which is what you want to do. Probably not quite that much, I don't think. It's going to be a little slower than you need, but you're going to take that very early there as well and try to get the exit as good as possible. And early, he's going to push it up towards Rich Meesters there into the wall. Here is where a lot of jockeying back and forth, as we're seeing right now. It's going to happen in another long rip down to the last little complex here. Another spot. You want to take a lot of curb, get on the gas early as far as you can get out to the wall here, and then across the line. So as you can see there is a lot of stuff to think about on this lap. There's a lot of curbs, there's a lot of walls to avoid, and you really do need to push the limits to find that lap time around here. And it's easy to make a mistake. I know I've raced a few types of machinery around here, including the SRF, and this place is really easy to make mistakes around, and I think we're probably going to see a few today for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And you did pick up a couple of trouble spots. That chicane is just, as you said, very unnatural. And you think that you're going to get a good run down that straightaway and you're going to be able to dive that corner, and it's just not really tenable. It's just you get in there and then there's just really nothing to do. It's a one lane kind of chicane there. So if you're not in front, it's going to be trouble as both the cars try and fight their way through, and it just slows them down tremendously. You're going to probably lose a half to a second there coming through that chicane too wide. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Josh. And then you talked about this being the not the one that we normally see. I think this is the 2025 layout. So the most recent layout here for the Roval here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And yeah, it's a little bit different than what we're used to seeing. Is they've taken out a couple of corners there in the infield. But still, you've got a lot of trouble here, and I think we're going to see a lot of issues, especially on braking, because of the elevation changes that we got in that infield. It just makes it very difficult to get these cars stopped if you're on a downhill.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to deal with here, and that new section's pretty interesting for sure. That was actually, the spot that used to kind of go off to the right there, and it sort of rose and then dropped and then back out to the wall. And then out to, I believe it's NASCAR 4 or NASCAR 3. And in any case, that was a really difficult section. And there was a wall there that man, it was easy to punch that wall. And it's not there anymore. So there's actually a spot where you can kind of breathe a little on the track there now. Not that it's the easiest carousel there. There's a little bit to think about, but not quite as much as there was before. So that's actually seemingly a little bit less busy through this section, especially here. You just kind of get to hang it out to wide and then find another apex here instead of finding that one of the more difficult sections on the track that they've actually removed there. So in qualifying here, though, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, you can see it on the outside there as we get a little spin there from Gradwell coming out of, I was going to say, coming out of that very, very tight hairpin, and that is what replaced that section, is that you get a good run down, but you've got a very, very tight hairpin to get onto the oval. And you're going to see that probably a lot during this race of cars just really trying to get the car slowed down and then back hard on the throttle, and it's just not going to allow it sometimes. So you're going to have to really squeeze that throttle coming out onto the oval section in order to get that car to behave properly. As we've got about 1 minute left to go here, as we see Antonio Reese against the wall there on the inside of that chicane. So obviously maybe too much curb there on the entry, as we see Murakami up high. Looks like he's just kind of riding around getting prepped for his final lap here with under a minute left to go. We're going to finish up here with Gradwell and Maurizio Naselli still on pole. 1/10 plus 200ths over Nate Schramm. Jason Green 0.3 back, Antonio Reese in fourth, you Simpkins in your rounding out your top five. So not a huge grid today. Only 17 cars, and we've got only 15 have set times. So Al-Shutwi was in the session at some point in time, as well as Martin Van Eekelen. Both of those drivers have yet to be out on the track to set a time, so I don't know if they're still in the session or not. So we'll just keep an eye on that. Otherwise, we're going to have 15 cars, and that's going to help. I think that's going to help things out a little bit, as it's going to give the cars a little more room to kind of set themselves up and breathe a little bit. We're not going to have 30 cars out there trying to pack it all into the chicane on lap one.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point here. Lap one, when we're all bunched up, that first section around here is really tight. And, like I was mentioning, and I think we've both mentioned here, it really only filters down to one very narrow line and a lot of corners around here. And you're going to have to be really, really respectful and aware of all the drivers around you and stuff to make sure that first couple laps happens. And, as well as in qualifying here, qualifying in the SRF, these open qualifying sessions, and you have 3 different classes out there. And, sometimes, people aren't doing each other favors. Sometimes they are doing each other favors. It can be a little bit stressful, as we can see Murakami here. And I would imagine he's desperately trying to find a draft. You have to get a draft to find out. He's going to practice his pit stop here, which is very important as well in SRF a couple times. You just sort of brain fart it maybe over practicing on the weekend, and you're like, oops, I didn't even practice the damn pit entry once. And it can be that can be another stress out there as well. You can ruin your whole race so many ways in these weekend warrior races. It makes them so interesting to have a couple extra layers there, something like a pit stop and like having those extra classes that you have to deal with and so on. So I always really enjoy that. It's not just flag to flag. There's something a little different out there. It can be frustrating. It can feel like it's against you a little bit sometimes, but it does add an extra layer, and I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see the pit stops into play here for our 40-minute race today. They will have to make a pit stop just because they're going to need fuel to get to the race end, and that pit stop's a little tricky. Not as bad here because I don't think these cars are quite fast enough to really engage that apron that you would normally see in some of the faster types. So dropping down off the banking onto the apron will unsettle the car. But I think these cars may be okay. We may see some iffy ones coming, but I think by and large, I think it's probably a little bit safer than what we would see if you were running maybe GT3s here, trying to drop off that banking down onto the apron to get into your pit lane. So we're going to wrap this up. I believe we're done with qualifying, and it says we're still finishing. So just about done. We'll flip it over here in just a moment, and we'll get our race grid up, our starting grid, and we'll be ready to get this thing rolling. I might see if we're going to get a full pace lap or we're going to get a short pace lap as the grid is ready. I'm hearing from Guido. Short pace lap. All right, so here we go. Maurizio Naselli, your pole sitter for today, 131.312. Nate Schramm outside of row 1 in second. Jason Green starts in third. Antonio Reese with the Masters pole starting in P4. Hugh Simpkins with the Spec 2 pole starting in P5. Chris Murakami in sixth. Joaquin Osbeck in seventh. Rich Meesters in eighth. Jock Justice in ninth. And Adam Bradshaw rounds out your top 10. Tom Gradwell starts in 11th. Scott Russell will start in P12 as we scroll the screen, and we'll pull up to 13th, which is Diego Todeschini. Dennis Furia in 14th. 15th is Paul Jackson. Saul Shutway and Martin Van Eekelen did not set qualifying times, and I don't see them on the grid either, so I'm going to guess we've got a 15-car grid for today's race. So, Josh, let's talk about this race start. Obviously, short pace lap, so you're not going to get a lot of chances to get heat in the tires. And so what are we looking at here? Obviously, turn 1 is a trouble spot. Doesn't matter when we get this race going and where you are and how long we're into it. It's just one of those corners that if you're going through there double wide, it's just going to cause problems.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you can find yourself there whether you want to be or not. So you do really have to be prepared for it. Sometimes somebody just get a little late on the brakes. Maybe you're a little late on the brakes. Maybe you're a little early on the brakes. You end up beside somebody anyway. So it's something you want to mentally prepare for. I might be side by side in a minute with someone here, and I'm going to have to deal with it. This is when my eyeballs are absolutely laser focused on those two front drivers. I'm waiting to see when they jump, and I'm deciding whether or not I'm going to take that early jump or if I'm just going to kind of breathe and let the whole thing go. And that's sort of what you're thinking right now. Am I just going to go for it? Every once in a while, you'll get a good jump and you just don't want to use it. Just because it's on sale doesn't mean you have to buy it. And you can find yourself in a really bad situation. That can happen here today. So I'd be waiting for this jump and really be careful into T1.
Yep, absolutely. I think that's exactly right. As we got the pace car off, and we are ready to get things going. Good jump by Naselli. He's going to take off coming out of that chicane. Oh, in trouble already. Oh, so we've got several cars involved in there. That's the 26 car of Nate Schramm. That is the 914 of Antonio Reese. Also, I think I saw Adam Bradshaw in there as well. Scott Russell involved as well. And so trouble already at the start of the race, and Naselli has absolutely taken off. And with Joaquin Osbeck getting a good run there, he's up to P3, and that's Hugh Simpkins running in second place. So he's able to avoid all that trouble there as we get this underway here. But several of our front runners have already ran into problems, and they're going to have to come in, get that car into the pits early and get some repair work done. So we see, it's starting to get the little checkups there as Green looks to the inside of Osbeck. He's going to take it down low and be able to try and get that run going and see if he can get clear of Osbeck before, and is able to easily do that. Now Osbeck's going to slot behind, and he's going to get the draft for himself as we head our way down into the chicane for the first time.
Yeah, some unfortunate happenings there at the beginning. We will have to have a look, and hopefully actually we can get an onboard maybe with Hugh Simpkins there and see how he actually did make it through there, because he's definitely won out quite a bit on that one there, and he's going to be leading right now as well. Really good driver Eustace, and he's got a very good head on his shoulders there. He's going to be able to see stuff like that coming and get around it. We find ourselves in the S2 category in the middle of the pack in a knife fight often. Whoa. And he's almost going to lose it in the background and catch it there with his some gunfighter hands on Hugh Simpkins, but that's going to kind of let Jason Green now attach to the back of him, which really, to be honest, isn't going to be a bad thing. They're going to want to work together. Jason Green is someone who you can work with as long as you have pace out there. He'll see that, and most likely he's going to work with you and try to move forward as well. We're going to jump into a replay here and just see maybe what happened at the start. Really easy to trip over the brakes here a little bit and find yourself, like I said, in the run up there beside someone that you didn't necessarily want to be beside. And it's going to be Jason Green and Nathaniel Schramm are actually going to squeeze each other a bit there. I'm not sure. Nathaniel he kind of took a line there, maybe that wasn't there. And I think that Jason Green sort of tried to reduce it. He tried to get out of the way a bit, but not really sure if he could get out of the way at that moment right there. And that's just two people going for the same piece of track.
Yeah, it just looks like he tried to cross that line, cross lanes there coming through the chicane. Thought it might have been clear, but just wasn't. And that is what happens when you get in those tight chicanes. We talked about the first chicane, but obviously the second chicane is not much better here on the restart. As we're back to live action, we're looking at Hugh Simpkins with Jason Green closing him down, getting that good run down the oval. He's going to look to the inside here, make that pass around, and get that done before we get into that second chicane. So gets that move made, puts him up to P2, and now he can try and set sail to Naselli, who just set the fastest lap of the race. So good luck to Jason.
Wow.
2/10 slower that lap as he works his way around Simpkins. Simpkins in third, and now he has two other Spec 2 drivers behind him in the Joaquin Osbeck and Diego Todeschini, who's up 8 positions as well, was able to get through as well. And you can just see there's no place to go as we looked at that replay coming out of that chicane. The two cars basically on the front row essentially just got together and just nowhere for the cars behind to go. So you did see a little bit of a damage on the front of Green's car as well from the contact. And so we've got some faster race cars behind. So I think they're going to do a pretty good job of being able to keep up with Green as he sets sail, trying to close that gap down. And we'll see in Naselli how he's going to play this, if he's going to keep it pinned to the floor, or if he's going to lift just a little bit just to keep the car a little safer, because this is not the easiest track in the world. Even for really, really good drivers, you tend to make mistakes here. So we'll see if Naselli backs off a little bit just to try and keep it a little safer, or if he just keeps it to the wall.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to see him keeping it to the wall here, Nazelli. I think his kind of standard baseline pace is about this fast. I think he's a quick guy out there, and he never really seems very phased by much of anything. You know, just watching his driving style out there. You know, when you're on track with him, it really doesn't look like he's wasting too much energy or being too sweaty behind the wheel. I just see somebody in the background just punch the wall quite hard there. I'm not exactly sure who that was. Looks like we're gonna see this is Joshua Justice and Todeschini, and they're gonna get together here, perhaps maybe on his own, maybe just pressure, and he's gonna get on those brakes, touch the outside a little. No, yeah,
No.
just gonna get that curb a little bit wrong. So very easy to do right there when you're trying to push the limits, and you can see he's kind of hanging off that right-hand turn, but you have to go right and then switch. Or sorry, yes, he's going right, and then you have to switch back to go left and hit that curb, and just ended up going right straight into the wall.
Yeah, just a little too much throttle application there off that first curb, and the rear is just lets go as the car's bouncing over the curbs and continues to bounce a little bit beyond it. Easy enough to do. That's going to drop him down to P9 behind Paul Jackson. And he's going to have a little bit of time to make up there, and looks like he's starting to close it up pretty well. So obviously got some pretty good pace here, even with the fact that he was able to avoid the crash and make up some positions. Still like he's got some good pace in the car. As Simpkins is still hanging on about 7/10 back of Jason Green running in second, and Green is was like a 6/10 slower than Nazelli last time by. As now we've got Rich Meesters here, Adam Bradshaw, a couple of our Masters drivers working their way through the chicane. We're involved in that early drama and have managed to stay out. And I think the only one, I'll take that back, Meesters, Bradshaw, Furia all came into the pits. A couple of other drivers, Schramm, Russell, and Reese all stayed out. So they're still going to just ride it around, trying to get to that pit window, and allow them to come in only one time. So they're trying to just, embrace the suck, as we used to say in the military, and just kind of deal with what you got, and till you get a point to you get that repair done and get your fuel onboarded. And now we see Todeschini into the pits for his pit stop at the around the 7-minute mark of today's race, as Gradwell now currently leading in the Masters class, P6 overall. Naselli to Green, but throughout the field, big gaps already forming, and we're only 7 minutes in.
Yeah, 7 minutes in, already got quite a bit of action here. A bit of a fractured pack now from that initial incident, and it's going to give some people out there maybe who wouldn't usually have a chance to maybe even be in the top 10 to even be in the top 5, maybe even a podium today for the likes of Hugh Simpkins. I believe he has gotten an overall podium. Maybe a week or so ago. Not something that happens all the time for the S2 drivers. I know from experience, I've actually never experienced an overall podium in S2. It's been is he going to actually miss that? He's actually going to miss the chicane there. That's going to be a bit of a holdback for him there. You can see that yellow flag up on our timing tower. So he's going to have to bleed that off slowly. Not too hard to bleed off time around this track, to be honest. You just kind of take a bit of a wider line and it comes off pretty quick. I did hear our producer just say something. You want to repeat that, Guido? I missed that.
No.
Ooh, I'm not sure I'm going to let that one go.
No. That's no spoilers.
But we did just get in what happened in the Indy today, so some people are going to be happy out there. Some people maybe not. Well, we'll see how that goes. But always pretty cool to see, and we'll be watching that one later on for sure, as well as the F1 race. I watch with bated breath that I am in the F1 fantasy. I do have my limitless chip pop this weekend. I'm hoping that my team does well. But back to racing here, and what we're looking at in front of us. Do have Johan Asbeck here. Still hasn't really been able to make up much of a gap here, has he, Charles? Too used. It looks like he is maybe slowly kind of reeling him in, but and he's actually going to touch the wall. Another little mistake for the 377, having a bit of a rough run.
He is having a bit of a rough run, but yeah, he's clinging to third place there as a Spec 2 driver, and it's so Osbeck is starting to close that gap down. So now down to about half a second. So he's letting that draft work for him. He's getting it tightened up ahead as they work their way down to complete another lap here into this final chicane. and looks like a nice entry and exit for both cars. So a good run from Ozbek. Actually picked up a 10th there, so had a better run than Ozbek through that section as we work our way through turn 1, back up the hill, over through turn 2 and turn 3, and then it's where it starts getting a little tricky here with these downhill braking zones as we roll around that double apex that you mentioned earlier in the lap guide. Very, very difficult to get that right, especially
with the better
with
line.
a car with especially with a car with no ABS. Just a tendency to lock those up, trying to get on the binders a little too hard or a little too early, and just very untenable. You see Ozbek got really good pace and has closed that gap down to almost nothing. And now, that's Simpkins with a mistake there. Once again, a little half slide coming out of the chicane. It makes that easy pickings for Ozbek. Is going to pick up P3. So we've swapped our S2 drivers on the podium. So maybe this is Ozbek's week. He's been on a bit of a rough kind of stretch. We haven't really talked about him very much as far as where he's been finishing a bit further back in the pack, but it looks like he's got a good run going today.
Yeah, definitely. He just kind of silently is always there, isn't he, in S2? And I've actually seen him. He's actually kind of up and down a little bit with the pace as well. A really fast driver. I feel like maybe he's having, practicing is really that, we're going to get a little half spin here from Tom Gradwell. He's going to lock it down, and that's what you want to do in the SRF. Just lock it down, and then you won't spin all the way. I haven't quite figured that one out yet. I keep naturally trying to save it, and I end up just having a massive tank slapper and facing the wrong way, but that's what you want to do in these, is lock it down, and you're going to get Meesters here is actually going to take a little bit of a grass mow there, a little John Deere with that one, and then he's going to have some dirt on the wheels too and have to save it again, and that's pretty standard for the SRF. Once you come back on track from the grass, you're almost always going to have another moment right away into the next corner. You got to be ready for it. We got 337 here, still looking down the back of the 210. Not sure if he's going to be able to catch him or if he's just happy to kind of be there. It looks like he's struggling a little bit around this track, which is something like we were saying in the run-up, easy to do, easy to make little mistakes around here.
Yeah, it really is. As we see, he's still 7/10 back. Oh, we got a slow car. That's Bradshaw, as Schramm and Meesters work their way around. Not really sure how that occurred, but obviously we're going to get another replay here. So they're coming out of the hairpin and on to the oval, and he's behind Schramm and works his way up high. And you see the damage on Schramm's car, just unable to really compete with the straight line speed of a repaired car from Bradshaw, as works his way through.
A little too much speed.
A little too much there. A little too much of the curb, and then they get split them as they work their way back around. And so that's Bradshaw with having to do it all over again, as he still has Rich Meesters in tow, and he has actually made that pass back around. Both Meesters and Schramm just basically trying to hold on for dear life here until we get to a point he can make a stop. I would say we're probably in the window at 12, almost 13 minutes into this race, where we could successfully come in, get our pit stop done, get our fast repair, get our fuel, and get back out on the track. Once Schramm gets that car fixed, as we got Murakami with the extra air conditioning package on his car, missing the front. So I'm going to guess that a mistake was made somewhere. We did see it with an off track and a slowdown somewhere, and this is back on the Roval again. Are we back in the chicane? Yep, second chicane. And looks like that is causing issues. It just late
too much
turn
heat.
in, too deep, and gets the car around. But that also may be just a sign of the lack of front downforce because of the missing front end. As we see now, here comes Schramm into the pits for his stop to get his car repaired and refueled, and he'll be back out there. And my guess is he's going to make up a few spots in a hurry once he gets that car back up to speed.
Yeah, I think so as well. He's been driving a trash can around the track here for about 13 minutes and able to actually hold it almost into the top 10 as well. He's still dicing around. These cars, when you get even a little bit of damage in the front, they drop. You can even hear the engine note in the car. It sounds sad and depressing all of a sudden, and you just can't make any speed. If you have somebody in front of you, and you can stay with them, you can actually it's like you don't have damage on certain tracks. You can actually stay with them if you're in a pack, but as soon as you start to lose any sort of speed or don't have a car in front of you on a straightaway, it's genuinely like holding a parachute out the window and you just slow right down. Unfortunately, I believe Murakami actually did lose his hood right at the beginning of the race there as well, unfortunately. And like you're saying, I don't think these cars really have any downforce, but when the hood is gone, you might have just a tad of lift on the front end, and lift is not going to help you get any grip at all.
That is very true, and you're going to have obviously lots more drag as you don't have that nice smooth surface on the front of the car to kind of break the air. As we do have a few more of our drivers, Antonio Reese, Chris Murakami, and Scott Russell, all coming in for their pit stop. They were all involved in that crash in lap 1 or lap 0 because they hadn't really crossed the start-finish line yet. So they're going to come in and get their repairs done. So it looks like that we've got a good pit window open, and these guys are going to get theirs done, and we're going to see how much time, because both those guys were up well into the top 10, so both those guys had some good pace. As we got a slow part outside, Todeschini again, as he is still struggling just a little bit, and that's nothing to be ashamed of. We've seen lots of drivers making mistakes here, so Schramm with a slowdown as well, as we're going to catch back up with him later, as we now have Meesters just ahead of Chris Murakami and Antonio Reese and Todeschini, and we're going to get a look here at Todeschini coming through turn 1, up the hill through turns 2 and 3, as a good line through there. And as we come down for the right-hander at turn 4, you can just see the car just not wanting to comply there, and a little bump backing into the barrier. It's going to cause a little bit of damage. Not too bad. But yeah, you can just see that the car just wanted to let go, just maybe carrying a little too much speed, or maybe locking up just a tad coming off that hill down into turn 4, and had to do some corrections that did not really help, but maybe backing into the wall probably better than driving it nose in. And he'll be able to continue on, and that won't, I don't think, has affected him nearly as much as he's going to come into the pits now for a pit stop.
I think you might have broken toe link there in the rear.
Number 2, yeah, it could be damage. It could be that he took an early pit stop and is just now coming in now for his fuel. If he's taking his fast repair, he'll be in there for a minute. Otherwise, he took his fast repair earlier, so he's going to come in and repair what he can get repaired, and get back out on the track after he gets his fuel onboarded.
Yeah, and those pit stops so important, Charles, to get them right and get that fuel right. And you do have a fast repair in this, like you're mentioning. So if you did break a toe link or you did bend something, you just automatically get it back. You don't lose any time. You can see Chris Murakami there out back at racing speed now. It just feels so good. All that engine note sounds a little better. And you're able to get some speed and make the car go where it wants to go again. They do really feel just gross when they have any front damage, and you can see it now that we're on board here with Chris Murakami. You can actually see the front end bent down on your car or missing, and it's just sad. It's just depressing, and it's hard to kind of keep the pace up at that point. But you have to stay out there. You have to stay in the gas and see if you can make up that time. It does look like Murakami made a bit of a mistake there now, trying to make that up to Meesters, and he's going to make it up quite well through the chicane there, taking a very aggressive line. That was more like the line that you want to take through there. You're going to have to risk it a little bit over those bumps and kind of hop, skip, bump, and jump your way through it, and hope it all works out to get the fastest time. And then you kind of do the same thing here. It's another chicane. Not the same kind of chicane, but you're taking the same sort of approach into it, where you're getting lots of curb and sort of bouncing the car and really just letting it sort of ride out to the wall and get on the gas when you feel safe. You can see so many people taking the curbs. Jason Green now all by himself out there, as well as Spec in the 210 and the 337. We've spread out quite a bit, so I would say, Charles, usually when this happens, this is going to be because you have a bit of a track specialist out there. You have some people struggling a bit. They've all sort of found their lap time now that they're comfortable with, and they just happen to kind of not be right around the same. So we're going to see those gaps maybe fluctuate a bit. You get a mistake, you get a little bit farther away, you do a couple laps, you get a little closer, and then you make another mistake. And that's kind of seems to be what's happening out there for a lot of our drivers today.
Yep. So if there's any iRacers out there listening, heed the words of Mr. Josh Wilkie about bad pit stops, because he will tell you he is an expert in bad pit stops.
Yes, I am. I'm a professional bad pit stopper. For sure. Yeah, so I'm going to make a supercut of me screwing pit stops up at some point.
So back on board, our leader here, Maurizio Nazelli, led from the start, obviously got a great jump out of the gate. with the incident behind and is up to a 9-second lead over Jason Green. Jason, obviously, with a little bit of damage on the front of his car. Don't know if that's really hurting his lap times all too much, or it's just the fact that Maurizio is just really fast, and that's it's no doubt that he is one of our faster drivers out there. And but we'll see, because it's sometimes those bad pit stops come in at the worst possible time. And he doesn't have a gap to be able to survive a 40 seconds from a too fast on pit entry, as we see Murakami there. That's really hanging it out coming through that chicane. He's going to get passed by Antonio Reese. Obviously lost a little bit of time through there, and Reese is going to pick up P9. 3 Masters drivers nose to tail here. And we're going to see very tight there. Just missed the wall, but was definitely sliding coming out. And it's a good catch there by Murakami to keep it off that wall once again, as Reese now has taken over P9, and they're tracking down Rich Meester. So 3 Masters drivers, and this is the battle for P2 in the class. Tom Gradwell running in P6, yet to pit. So we've got 6 drivers at the top of our field 7 drivers at the top of our field yet to make a pit stop, from Nazelli all the way down to Rich Meesters, all still with a pit stop due. So Meesters is going to have to give up that position to Reese eventually, as Gradwell will as well. So, but there's a huge gap between Gradwell and Meesters of almost 36, 37 seconds. So that might be enough to keep him very, very close to these guys once he comes out of the pits, as I'm looking at the pit stop times now. Basically anywhere from 36 second stop by there we go. So Rich Meester's our first stopper, 36 seconds from start to finish, or cone to cone. And then we've got Reese and these guys probably up to around 42, 43 seconds for the most part. We do have Adam Bradshaw with a very quick stop at 31, but that was early in the race, and that was just for a fast repair.
Right, yeah, so that's going to be a little bit of a quicker one there for sure. These guys here, though, in the Masters class fighting kind of tooth and nail here, all very similar drivers, these guys out there as well. I can tell you from experience there. They're all very clean, very fast drivers, but also very aggressive. They are going to go for a gap. They are going to try to squeeze you a little bit, and that's always fun to watch. It's fun to watch on TV, and it's hopefully that they're going to be able to stay off of each other there, and we'll have a good race right to the end. Tom Gradwell, though, putting in a great effort today in the 909, up there in 6th place, holding on to the Masters lead at the moment. Another really clean, fast driver. You actually can see on the deck lid, the back of his car there, the trophies that he's actually picked up in previous seasons. So he's definitely got some raw speed out there, and it looks like he's proving it again today for sure. Maurizio Nazelli, though, absolutely nobody can touch him. Nathaniel Schramm maybe having the kind of speed that Mauricio has, but unfortunately he is basically a lap down from Mauricio at this point. So and it sounds like we have a crash perhaps from our race sponsor of Chris Murakami. He's been pushing these chicanes a lot in the last 10 minutes or so, and I think maybe here he is finally going to find out, and he kept it out of the wall though, so he's going to be able to keep going. But that's what happens around here when you push those limits on the chicanes. You got to get them just right. You got to load that car just right and do it just correctly, or you end up sideways in the wall.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was a good catch. As you said, he did lose the position to Bradshaw, lost some time, so about 7 seconds back of the battle he was in. Antonio Reese has made his move around Rich Meester, so he's going to take over 8th position, as we did have Jason Green and Joaquin Osbeck come in for their pit stop. So Green down into P5, Osbeck down into P7, so he's given up P2 in the Spec 2 class. For the time being. Jackson still yet to pit, so he's going to be able to recover that spot, as he's only about 3 seconds or so back. As you can see, Hugh Simpkins currently running in 2nd place, 15 seconds behind Nazelli, who's still comfortably leading this event and probably will come in at the very last moment, so around the 32 minute mark. We'll see Nazelli come in, get his stop done, and come back out and just try and hang on to it for the remainder of the race, as we see Nazelli lapping, that is Dennis Furia in P13, so able to make that nice and easy, and Furia very nice to give up the racing line there. So good sportsmanship on his part. as he does have a car behind him, and it did not catch who that was. But now we're going to look back again here. This is a battle for P8. And second in the Masters class with Antonio Reese and Rich Meesters. Obviously, Meesters has got to get his – he's got to come in again as well. So Reese, I think, is good to go. So Meesters will have to come in and get another little splash of fuel to finish off this race as he pitted on lap 1. So he'll have to come back in for service. So this is a battle for the time being, as Reese is starting to extend that gap just a little bit, up to 0.6 of a second. They'll probably close back down a little once we get back onto the oval as the draft starts ramping up for these two cars, and you can see it closing down a little bit there. It's Meester just a little loose coming through there, just out a little bit of yaw in the rear of that car, able to hang on to it, but he's got to be very careful as we come out, and we're going to look here at Scott Russell as he works his way through turn 1 and back over the hill through 2 and 3. Looks like he's on and he just pulls over and says, I think I've had enough of this track for today, and has towed back to the pit. So I think Scott says he's done. So we'll go back to here, Chris Murakami now running in P11, and will, I think, is good to go for the remainder of the race. But then the spin there coming through out of the chicane, and yep, so easy to do. We've seen it a few times here. As it's just, I think Meesters was very close to that as well, as he was really sliding the rear tires there, and that could have been a potentially a disaster there, as he was just giving a lot of heat to those rears before he went into that chicane, but able to get through there nice and neat, as Simpkins is still running in P2, still losing in time to the leader. But I don't think that's his fight. He's comfortably leading the Spec 2 category by 30 seconds or so over Joaquin Osbeck, with a pit stop still to come. So we'll see how he cycles out, as Naselli now comes in for his pit stop at the 26-minute mark.
Yeah, I would imagine we're going to see Eust hop in here too. Bummer to see Scott Russell out. He's been making some moves this season. Lots of speed he's been able to find. I've been up in the top 5 almost every race. Other than this place, maybe didn't get quite as much practice as you need in this weekend, but bummer to see him out. Today's really been doing really good. Eust Simpkins, though, as well. What a season he's had, for sure. A really good season. I believe he's taken an overall podium or two. I was having a little talk with him, actually, off racing line here, and he's saying, he's actually was back on Weekend Warriors about a year and a half ago, and actually took a break. So he's actually back after a hiatus and doing really well out there. He's actually looks like he's pretty perhaps could take the S2 victory this year. Not really sure about drop rounds and all that stuff with Phil, who's actually not here today. Who actually we should mention again too. Phil doing excellent as well this season. We're gonna see Rich Meesters do another half spin there. Very strange little spot. It reminds me again of a very similar corner at Daytona where things like that happen as well, and it makes me wonder. Yep. I wonder if it's just something about sort of the transition up onto the bank, and it does ask something a little strange of the car there, where you're almost doubling back a little bit, so you can do it when you're out flat, but there's also that little curb on the inside you're sort of worried about, and you're kind of trying to maximize your line, and all of those things happening at once just seems to add up to tripping over pedals and spinning there. I'm not exactly sure why. It doesn't seem as difficult as it looks, basically, or it looks simpler than it is, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just, it's almost a 180-degree corner. Not quite, but as you said, you're coming kind of off of a little bit of a plateau down to the lowest part of the track there, and then you're turning turning left and up as you're trying to climb back onto the banking. And yeah, that definitely seems like it's causing some of our drivers issues today, just trying to get that right, as we're still looking on board here. With Eust Simpkins currently leading, so he's going to get some lead points. I don't think that they actually have points for leading a lap here, but if they do, Eust Simpkins just got some. So we're hearing from Guido that they do. So Guido,
I think you do get 1 point,
getting the bonus points for leading a lap. So good on Eust, as he's currently being trailed by Justice. He's going to try it there, and you can just see how much slower those cars are as they're going side by side there through the chicane. But they made it, a little bit of tap, but Murakami is going to work his way to the inside under Paul Jackson to take over that position, move him up to 9th. Paul Jackson settles back into 10th, And they got a pretty comfortable gap thus far with Nate Schramm up about 9 seconds over Schramm, as we've got 3 cars still yet to pit. That is Hugh Simpkins, Josh Justice, and Tom Gradwell. So those 3 yet to come in. Time's running out, so these guys will have to come in the next few minutes, as we see Adam Bradshaw coming into the pit now. I think this is going to be for his second pit stop, so this will be for fuel to get his car to the end of the race, as we now see Hughes coming down to pit lane, and he's going to come in and get his stop done, as well as Josh Justice. So our top 2 coming in. Let's see if Gradwell does as well. Oh, we got a black flag for Dennis Furia. So that is going to be probably he's in the pit, so that might be speeding on pit entry. Then Gradwell coming in as well. So that is our final car to pit today. So nothing left but racing as Naselli resumes P1. And Eustace is going to come in. Oh, no. And Josh Justice in the pits as well. And is this a replay, or is this...
Nope, that was live pictures. So, I think he's still having to sit there. Yeah, so he's probably waiting for a penalty, perhaps, in the pit now. And I think we've got Hugh Simpkins actually just funneled out as well. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a very late black flag. I thought, he'd been in the pits for a few seconds, I thought that would have come up. So the only thing I can think of is maybe he just oversped coming into his box, trying to just extract as much time as he could. Yep. And just a little bit late, because these cars, as we've mentioned before, do not have pit limiters. So it's up to your right foot to determine how fast you're going to.
It's stressful, let me tell you. It really is. Yep. It really is not having pit limiter. As you can attest to in many ways. I don't think I've sped on the pit lane yet. Maybe a couple seasons ago, but yeah, I can tell you, that it's definitely difficult to do that. You're kind of breathing on the throttle back and forth. And iRacing does this, interesting little thing because of netcode and because of internet. They can't really police it exactly, so they let you kind of go over the limit and then bring it back, and over the limit and bring it back. So you can kind of play with that a bit, and it just adds another little stress layer sort of to it, because there is people out there that are going to maximize that. They're going to be able to maybe pull a second on you if you really maximize that. Maybe what Joshua Justice was trying to do, right? That's why it came in late. So he made it across the line. He's feathering the gas and the brake, trying to get there. And unfortunately, just before he gets to his box, goes over that limit a little bit too much. iRacing penalizes you, and that's about it at that point. There is no coming back from that in these races. They're too short. There's too much drafting involved, and you're going to be unfortunately behind. But it does look like Hugh Simpkins had a very good pit stop. He is going to be ahead of Spec now, so pretty interesting stuff there. He was able to make up that gap out in free air, maybe just running some faster laps, and he's going to be ahead of Spec now. So that's a pretty big gap as well from the 210. So he was out there plugging some good laps in Houston. That's exactly what he does. He knows how to race these things. He's got very good race awareness, I think, out there. So he knows what he has to do to get it done. And the 210, unfortunately, not having that overall lap time in the end to keep up. Or perhaps he was just caught in some traffic as well. We watched him just
tenths of a second. That's that's a nice little gap there. But here's the big one: 42.8 for Simpkins cone to cone, 46.6 for Ospec cone to cone, so almost 4 seconds down the pit lane, and that's somebody who has really worked. So kudos to Simpkins for just really maximizing that pit lane and that pit stop. So able to pick up 4 seconds of track position just from the pit stop. So Green back up to P2 now that all the pit stops are done. And to see the gap 13.6 up to Naselli in first. So Naselli is going to just cruise to this victory unless something bizarre happens, which we don't hope for. And then Simpkins is going to be our final podium position in P3 unless, once again, something weird happens. Not out of the realm of possibility. We've seen it before. Ozbek with P4, Reese leading the Masters class in 5th. Tom Gradwell in P6 in 2nd place in Masters. Murakami in 7th, 3rd place in the Masters. And then Paul Jackson down in P9 is going to get Oh, we got another crash here. We're going to see Bradshaw. This is Adam Bradshaw Sr. I guess we can call him that since we do have the junior that shows up occasionally. You already see some damage on the front of his car as he works down and just bypasses and just misses the chicane and drives through and then says, that's enough for me too. So tows back to the pits and so he's going to give up the position he was in, which was P14. There's nobody behind him, so I think that's where he's going to finish as we're back on board here with Schramm and Paul Jackson. Schramm did set the fastest lap of the race a few laps ago, so back up to speed, and now he's only 2 seconds behind Justice inside the top 10, running 9th, Justice in 8th. So that is the final step on the Spec 1 podium down in 8th place. So Justice currently holds on to that. Schramm desperately trying to close that time down. Paul Jackson doing his best to just kind of hang on to the back there. You see Schramm coming down in, getting a lot of that curb there, but good run through. And that gap now to Justice is around 1.5. So a second and a half up between P8 and P9. As Gradwell just crosses the start-finish line there with a 133.2. Nazelli's last lap was a 131.9. And then Schramm's fastest lap was a 131.6. So obviously making up lots and lots of time, but obviously not going to be anywhere close to enough time left in this race for Schramm to make any headway other than maybe this position right here. And then 14 seconds up to Murakami. I don't think he's going to be able to close that down.
Yeah, probably not unless something happens there for sure. Antonio Reese actually taking the lead as well. I'm not sure if you mentioned that over Tom Gradwell as well. So that pit stop worked out for him. I'm wondering if that, again, Tom Gradwell, I believe, was kind of running out by himself, doing laps kind of by himself around there for a while where Antonio Reese was in a pack and they were doing a pretty good job of drafting each other just because they couldn't seem to really actually make a pass work on each other. They didn't really have a chance, so that he probably made up a little bit of time pack driving around the back part of the oval there. As now we're going to see Josh Justice pull up to the top of the track here. Not going to defend that position too hard and let Nathaniel Schramm by for now, probably attached to the back. So Nathaniel Schramm picking up a little bit more points here on his comeback tour from that first incident there that basically put him in dead last from the beginning. So car looking clean now. He's clean and up to speed and looking good out there for sure. Yeah, everybody else out there doing fairly good. Pretty fractured pack after that initial crash, Charles. So it's been a bit of a different SRF race out there. Also, we're missing close to half the field that we might usually have, which sometimes can make a really intense race because you just kind of have a little bit less pressure on you and you can focus on the cars around you. But unfortunately, we had that crash at the beginning, kind of broke everything up a little.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that has been the story of the race is that early crash at the start took out several of our contenders up front and just really gave Nazelli he didn't like, not that he needed a 5-second head start, but he knows what to do with it once he gets it as he is cruising out there in front. Jason Green in second, Simpkins in third. Osbeck and Reese, your top 5. As we got a spin there. I think that's Skinny, and I believe that is a black flag for incident points. So he is going to have to come down and make his drive through here. Is luckily on his final lap, probably as he works his way around. So luckily he got that done on the lap prior to the last lap. So he's able to work that off through the pit lane drive through, as opposed to the 40 seconds that gets added at the end of the race, which would drop him down actually a spot. So he's going to be able to come in, get his stop done, and hopefully get back out and can maybe sneak back around Furia to hold that position, or maybe just come through and still be able to hold on to it, although with a much closer gap as Naselli comes around one more time out of the hairpin down the back straight here at Charlotte Motor Speedway to come down through the chicane, and we'll hit our white flag last lap this time by, and we'll cap off this race with a Nazelli victory, it appears, with Green going to end up in second, and I think Simpkins is in third, but Osbeck is starting to close that gap down. It's 3.8, so might not be out of the woods just yet. Simpkins has got to be on his best behavior out there for the last lap and a half.
Yeah, absolutely. So easy to make a mistake around here, too, even right up to the final minutes. You can actually see leading into that chicane, there is actually a little poop emoji on one of the brake boards there that if you go a little too late, instead of putting the number on it, they put a little poop emoji there. As we're actually going to get the white flag now from Barney, the flag man here in iRacing. This is the last lap, so Naselli, just needs to kind of lock it down now and have an easy lap here, and he'll come home with a victory 15 seconds ahead of his closest rival, Jason Green, who we know is really quick out there. So Naselli not putting a foot wrong today. You could put a dime on the apex of each corner. He'd be picking it up every lap, I think. Jason Green, though, also putting in a good run. And then you have Hugh Simpkins as well in S2, who's also put in a really good run today, getting that strategy right on Spec, not even really having to pass him on track, being able to undercut him in the pit. Antonio Reese looks like he's going to be able to take the win in Masters as well, plugging in some good laps to undercut Tom Gradwell. And then Murakami, today's race sponsor as well, looks like he's going to get at least a podium today with a 7th overall. Nathaniel Schramm just making up some points here to 8th. So it's been a bit of an interesting race, a bit of a comeback tour for most of the drivers out there, except for Naselli. So a pretty interesting one right off the bat when everybody's got a really good idea how a race is going to go or how a fight is going to go until you get a shot in the nose. And that's kind of exactly what happened. And I'm hearing, unfortunately, it sounds like Murakami has just had an incident. You can see him plunging down the tower there, Charles.
Yeah. Speaking of shots in the nose, I think we're going to get a replay here. Did see Schramm actually making it around us. We're going to get out the end of the race here as we're going to let Naselli come across and pick up the race victory here at Charlotte Motor Speedway on the Roval. And congratulations to Maurizio Naselli. Easy victory there. Just had to keep the car on the track pretty much as Green's going to come around and pick up our second place as he works his way through the chicane for one last time. You see Hugh Simpkins there in the background. That will be our final overall podium position, as well as the Spec 2 victory. And I was, look at Joaquin Nosbeck there, going to get a P4, and that's going to be Spec 2, P2. Close that gap down pretty quickly there. Just not enough laps left to go as we're going to see Antonio Reese come in, take the Masters class victory. So it means we're going to have a chat with Guido here about his behavior when Antonio's in the booth. As Antonio will end up P5, and Tom Gradwell will come in P6 and get second in the Masters class. So good run from Gradwell. Lost just a minimal amount of points to his rival there. As we see now, Nate Schramm coming in to finish in 7th. Final step on the S1 podium. And he's going to lose several points to Jason Green, his closest and the fastest lap of the race. Ooh. As now we got Josh Justice coming around to finish in 8th. And so that's going to close that championship battle up just a little bit in the Spec 1 class as Murakami comes in to finish 9th. Paul Jackson finishes in 10th. Rich Meesters in 11th. And we've got Diego Todeschini in 12th. Dennis Furia in 13th. Adam Bradshaw is going to be our last to cross the start-finish line and take the checkered flag to finish in 14th. So well done to all of our drivers today. Only had one car that ended up dropping out of the race, and that was Scott Russell. But everybody else comes in, finishes it off, and I think we're about to get hijinks are about to ensue.
Yeah, we absolutely are. You're getting some great pictures from our Whiplash sim cams here as well with those good broad shots there of the entire track. I believe we're going to see Jason Green here, who's usually found some place to smack a wall or hit a jump, and there we are. We're going to burn it down. That's Tom Gradwell, Ospec, Jackson, Meesters, all into the wall. He's actually going to get stuck into the wall. A bit of a physics anomaly happening right there, which you're going to find in iRacing every once in a while. There's Bradshaw into Green, and this is sort of the tradition, right? At the end of the race, blow some steam off, smash the cars into something. Sometimes there's a big jump. Every once in a while, you just do that. Just back into people and drive around for a minute. And I think we're all aware at the end, to keep your hands off your DD so you don't snap a thumb or something like that. Don't put your hand inside any of the holes on your wheel at the end, because you might get rear-ended, but it's always pretty fun, to burn it down. Not a bad race around Charlotte. Missing some of the field, was hoping it was going to be a bit more, but of course, like we mentioned at the beginning of the race, there's a lot of racing going on today, including the Indy 500, the F1, I believe the 600 as well. So lots of stuff to watch. Hopefully, those of you who did tune in, thank you so much. And thanks to our sponsor today, Chris Murakami, for sponsoring the race here. Couldn't do it without you guys.
Absolutely, yeah. We really want to thank Chris Murakami for today's sponsorship. And too bad he didn't. result I'm sure he would have wanted, but good racing out there as Jason Green's car is absolutely destroyed.
Cinematic shot of this.
So let's get our race results here as we've got Nathaniel Schramm with the fastest lap of the race, 131.488. But the big story here, Maurizio Nazelli taking the race victory over Jason Green, who finishes in second. Hugh Simpkins finishing in third, winning the Spec 2 class. Joaquin Osbeck finishing in fourth, and second in Spec 2. Antonio Reese finishing in P5, Masters class winner. Just ahead of Tom Gradwell in sixth, who finishes in second in the Masters class. Nate Schramm rounds out your Spec 1 podium, finishing in seventh. Good recovery from him after falling to the back of the field. Josh Justice finishes in eighth. Chris Murakami, the third place driver in Masters, and ninth overall. And Paul Jackson rounding out your Spec 2 podium, P10 overall. And then our remainders here, Rich Meesters in 11th, Diego Todeschini in 12th. Dennis Furia in 13th, Adam Bradshaw in 14th, Scott Russell finishing in 15th, So Al Shutwee and Martin Van Eekelen did not take the start of the race, so 16th and 17th on the board for them. And we got a couple of drivers in our waiting room. So Josh, I'm gonna let you have pick. You let me have pick last week. I'll let you have first pick this week.
I think we'll take Eust. Let's get Eust in here, one of my competitors, and chat with him. A rare opportunity. There he is, Eust. Great race today, man. We'd actually never had a chance to speak. This is Josh talking here up in the booth today, taking a little break from racing. Excellent strategy today. You're actually able to undercut, I believe it was Osbeck there, and take the win. So tell us how you did it.
Well, I was a bit distracted at the beginning of the race. I was trying to watch the Formula One as well as racing, but that didn't go so well. So I made a few mistakes in the first laps, and then I decided to turn it off. And then Joachim was already way ahead of me, but I was able with a pit stop strategy to take him back. So I'm happy with the results.
Yeah, it's a bit of a difficult track out there, seeing a little bit mistake here and there, and but you were able to kind of put it together, mid-race there and plug some good laps in and undercut him. We just saw a good replay, actually, while we're speaking, of the seas parting in front of you there, and able to make it through that initial incident nice and clean. So that's obviously a really good one. Yeah, and then Naselli just taking off into the distance, but you're able to hold on to it. It looks like you're going to take a really good points haul today for that. Most likely going to have the S2 season championship here. We're going into the last two rounds. Maybe we'll give you a chance here to say thanks to who you'd like to, and we'll let you go.
Well, thank you for the commentary. Doing a great job every week, and thanks to everyone involved with the competition. It's really nice. Looking forward to next. I won't be joining next week. I'll have other obligations, but the final round, I hope I can snatch the S2 championship, and looking forward to that as well.
Excellent. Yeah, so you'll be missing, I believe it's Aragon next, and then after that we have the junior layout at Monza. So two more rounds, and it looks like you got a good points haul today, so I believe you'll be able to miss that one, and that shouldn't really matter too much with the drop round and everything. So thanks for the kind words there, man, and hopefully I'll see you back out on track for next season. Have a good week, and we'll catch you on the next one, man. Take care.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Grab him here out of the booth. There he goes.
Yeah, you Simpkins are P3 overall and Spec 2 winner. And let's go ahead and get prepped here as we're going to bring in Antonio Reese, our Masters class winner today. I believe, was that fourth place overall? So maybe, or fifth, but we're going to drag him down and have a chat. So Antonio Reese, Masters class winner today. Congratulations, great race. Obviously not the start you would have wanted, but I think there's about 6 or 7 other cars that probably feel the same way.
Missing his hood in the replay here.
Can you listen my voice if I speak?
Yeah, you're coming in a little weak, but
now it's better. No, not better. Well, I'm on,
Yeah,
You're good.
I'm on my mobile phone and I'm driving my real life car now. I'm bringing my daughter to the train station, so it's a special interview today.
there we go. So congratulations, Antonio, on the
Thank you.
once again on the class victory. As I was saying, probably not the best start you would have asked for, with you and several other cars getting not making it through the chicane the way you would want. But you just kind of hung on out there. You raced until you were able to come in and get your repairs done once the pit cycle opened, and you just kind of kept it together, and ended up with a great result.
Yeah, it was really amazing. I didn't know the car could still drive after that, but it was somehow. Anyway, it was somehow getting speed. I don't know. I have only half of the car, but it was good.
Well, Antonio, we're not going to take up a lot of your time because I know obviously talking and driving probably not the ideal situation, even if you're just in your normal car. So, Antonio, we'll give you a chance to give any thanks or shout outs, and we'll let you get going and get to the train station.
Yeah, my daughter is already there on the way to the train, so I'm just. Guys, you know, you are the special ones. So thanks for you on the broadcast. It's always amazing. I always watch. I'm just going to get my dinner and watch. Well, I'm going to watch the Formula One first, whatever is still in there. And for Steve Ray is the guy, and for all the drivers, the Weekend Warriors community, and for Adam Thompson. Special thanks to Adam Thompson. He created the slow motion broadcast, and as well for all the viewers on the YouTube.
All right, well, Antonio, thanks for stopping in, and thank you for the kind words indeed.
Yeah,
and we'll see you next week. So have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you guys. You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Drag him out. That was Antonio Reese, our Masters class winner. And Josh, that wraps up another round 2 to go. As you mentioned, Aragon next week, and then our final at Monza. So that's going to be a blast. Obviously, Monza with these cars that draft so well are going to be good. It's going to be something special. But Aragon coming up next week. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Aragon's a pretty interesting track as well. It's one they're going to have to practice this week. That's going to be a track, again, that you need to put some laps down in, and the person who puts the most laps in is the most comfortable around there is probably going to, is going to have an easier day of it, and most likely that's going to lead to a more consistent and, probably a win, or at least a good position. So that's what I'd be thinking this week, is to kind of hit the books a bit for Aragon and make sure that I have a good lap and a good quali, and try to get up front, not to have a mistake early, for sure. And we just like obviously to thank Chris Murakami again here as well. We do have a bunch of stuff coming up on Slow Motion Broadcasting. You can see on your screen right now, F4s at Tsukuba are coming up. We have the F3 at Adelaide is going to be an awesome one. The F4s were there about a week ago, and it was an awesome race. I can't wait to see that one in the F3s. And then, of course, our big special event, this Sergeant Adam W.S. Step Memorial Scholarship Race. Charles will be actually on track in that one. We have some of the most beautiful liveries you will ever see in iRacing on these cars, as well as the competition that will be running for them. We have up on screen right now, you can see those QR codes. You can join, watch, or donate. You can see our sponsors there at the bottom, DNet Stuff, Frito Sport, Sim Racers Group doing a lot of work on this one as well, and a bunch of people in the background. I've been involved a little bit with it, and people are just pouring themselves into this one. It's going to be an awesome race. I'll be on air for that one with Ron. And it's going to be great. So join us on May 30th there in the morning. We'll have a really good one. And that's not all. As you saw in our other upcoming shows there, bunch of stuff coming up. We do have a bunch of new stuff in the pipe as well. We will be having some new leagues and some new racing coming over the summer and into the following season here as well. So stay tuned, and thanks to everybody out there for watching. And yeah, you know what? That's a really good shout out to Adam Thompson as well. I haven't spoken about him in a little while. Haven't spoken to him in a little while. So wishing him well. I believe he's deployed at the moment. So wishing him well and his family and everything else. And yeah, thanks to everybody out there. Go watch some racing today, man. There's a lot out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I want to say thanks again to our drivers for coming out and competing today. Once again to Josh for sitting in with me, Guido doing his magic in the production booth, and just don't forget, hey, you come next week for that for the Sergeant Estep Memorial Race. Come for the paint, stay for the racing. We're gonna have a good time. Lots and lots of V8 noises coming out of Road America. It's going to be fantastic. And also, don't forget, happy Memorial Day here in the States. Take a moment, say a little bit of thanks to the people who fought and gave up the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. So just say it, keep them in your mind, keep their families in your hearts. And enjoy the extra day of not working for most of us. And for Josh and Guido, I am Charles Boshell. Thank you very much for stopping in here at Slow Motion Broadcasting. We will see you down the road. Keep it safe and keep it between the lines.